Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind Eminent Terry's Moon, Dolo the Archangel Uriel, and Flight Boss is here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. Now, this video is for every religion, every scientist, every philosopher, because at some point in time or degree, you're gonna have no choice but to come to this conclusion because you already have came to this conclusion. And no scientist or any religious or anybody will be able to say I'm wrong because they will say the same thing I'm saying, but just their ideas and thoughts about it may be different, and they may go to a confusion realm based upon the confusion amongst the right and left brain amongst mankind. So look, listen, you need to understand, first of all, this is astrology. This is flight astrology. This is like a part two to something. This is a whole separate. And this will get you to understand a lot of things like transformation, reincarnation, death, and what are people made out of. But you're going to be able to understand it for it to make sense. But it's not going to be explained in no other way you ever heard it before. But if you go to all these other explanations, you're going to realize that they're basically saying the same thing. So, first of all, we want to know everything is frequency, vibration, and energy. We know frequency. Everything that ties under the layers of frequency could be your spirit, the idea of you, your space, the space that you're in, your timeline, your line of events, the idea of you, your life, your illusion. Now, the spirit, the frequency, once it goes in something, goes into a realm of reality, that became second. So it becomes to experience its time now. So once the spirit, the frequency experience, it goes within, it becomes a soul. So now it's experienced the realm of reality, the timeline. It's experiencing it now. It's vibrating on it now. It's the first mechanism of fluid. Water, everything comes from this. It's the vibration. You know what I'm saying? It's the experience of the spirit, which now is the soul. Now third is the energy, because everything that becomes solid and everything that mattered can become matter and be drawn into the dimension that is in, into a physical shape or form. So that's the energy of it, the physical form. So this is what you are. You are 3 in 1. So now, getting that out the way, people want to know, what do the spirit look like? Now, you could ask a religious or scientist person, they're going to basically tell you this, but this is what it is. Your spirit look like a colorless, odorless, tasteless gas that's not flammable. That's what your spirit is. So, if you want to know what it looked like, you have to use your imagination. Now, this is why the imagination is real. This is why the imagination is most important. This is why, because it's your idea within the overall idea. It's your space within the overall space. It's your frequency, vibration, energy within the overall frequency, vibration, energy. So, if you want to know what your spirit looks like and what it consists of, when you want to describe somebody's spirit or somebody wants to express their spirit, what do? They express an attribute that they have naturally. So if your spirit is a colorless, odorless, tasteless, non-flammable gas, then we know the things we can't actually see what it consists of, but we know the energetic force. We know what it consists of based upon the energetic force it gives out. Based upon, like, you could just look at me and you don't know my spirit. Until I start, say we're playing basketball, I might got a high spirited basketball energy. You will never know that unless we start playing basketball. Then you will see that energy. You will see all the possibilities and all the creations I can do within that basketball realm. So your imagination, that's your creation. So understand this. Everything is elements. So when I call this flight astrology, this is like a part two to things, because this is gonna get you to really understand. And everybody in astrology know what fire, earth, water, and air represents. And when they mix as a cusp, everybody in astrology know as a cusp, we know what a steam, lava, dust, or cloud element is. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know, a dust element is when earth and air comes together. as a cusp. If you a cusp sign between earth and air, water, steam will be when water and fire comes. Cloud will be when earth and air comes. Lava will be when earth and fire comes, and dust will be when earth and air comes together as a cusp. Now, these elements is just a mixture of elements, right? So if I want to tell you, listen, fuck you being a fire sign, do you want to know how to become the fire element? Then flight astrology will be how to tell you that. Fuck being a water sign, I am water. You want to know how to become it? Now look, your spirit. Remember when I said it's a colorless, odorless, tasteless, and unflammable gas, right? That means it is when it becomes a frequency vibration in an energy. Energy is when something matters, then it becomes matter and becomes solid. Whatever in that frequency vibration, aka whatever mixture of elements is in that, that's the shape and form it's going to take. So when you die and transform, right, you're going to go into the vessel that best inhabits your spirit. And your spirit, your frequency vibration consists of elements. So for an example, we know air is made out of 78% nitrogen and 22% oxygen. See, you are in the third dimension. So you are more of a mixture of elements to be dense in this dimension. The higher dimension you go to inhabit a vessel, the less elements you need, but the less of the mixture it is, but the different kind of mixture it is. This is why you may not be able to see life on other planets and things of that nature, because the beings there may be a mixture of this amount of elements. And since you as a human are a mixture of this amount of elements, then they don't match. So you're going to see them as something else. You may see them as, for an example, you are a human, consists of this much carbon, this much hydrogen, this much nitrogen, this much oxygen, right? So when you look at water, say if I told you water is a conscious being, right? You can't see it that way because water is just a mixture of oxygen, 49% hydrogen, and 49% oxygen. So that being is not the same mixture as you. So you see each other in two different ways. So you just use water, and water just use you. But y'all both two beings with consciousness, with brains and everything. But you can't see it that way because your elemental mixtures is different. So you only see the elements that your mixture can inhabit to see. So, and that's the only form you can take from it and utilize. But all the other mixtures and forms of water you can't see because it's not your formula. It's not your formula. You see, you get what I'm saying? So if your spirit is a colorless, odorless, tasteless, and non-flammable gas, then what it consists of is what I can see from you. So for an example, now you're gonna say your imagination. What are the elements your imagination consists of? Now, we're going to break it down. You're going to start to understand what I'm saying once I break this down. Now, look, say I told you, nigga, fuck being a fire sign, become fire. So if you become fire, you can control all the fire signs. You can know what they think and what they not think. Now look, how you become fire, you might think, oh, okay, as a regular astrologer, they tell me I have to use more spirit, use more. Yeah, that sounds good, but it's a science to everything. It's even a science to God. So if you want to become the fire element, since you in a lower dimension, fire represents a lower dimension. Because fire don't even actually look like that. So fire consists of something that's higher than it. So it's higher elements mixtures that make fire. So what is fire made out of? Fire is made out of 49% nitrogen, 20% hydrogen, and 21% oxygen. So if you want to become the fire element and control all the other fire and control every fire and have fire in the palm of your hands, then you need to understand the elements it's made out of. So look, so this is flight astrology right here. So if fire is made out of 59% nitrogen, 20% hydrogen, and 21% oxygen, so let's see what those mean now. Let's start with hydrogen. Hydrogen means a hydrogen, and in my world where I was from, when we say a hydrogen planet, or that person is a hydrogen sign, what this means. Hydrogen represents going without, being curious, headstrong, action without thought. That's hydrogen. So hydrogen beings do things like that. Just hydrogen beings. That's how they do things. You know what I'm saying? Now, what else is fire made with? 59% nitrogen. Now, nitrogen represents energetic. We used to say that was a person that's energetic, expressive, inspirational, explosive, dynamic, right? And then fire is 21% oxygen. Now, what is oxygen? Oxygen represents the traveler, the informative, the informative one, the one that cares about information but cares. These people care, and these people hold on. And see, I'm speaking from people in my dimensions, but this with the elements, nature it carries. It cares and it hold on to and uses emotions. So I don't even care if you a scientist. If you a scientist and I broke down hydrogen to you this way, and you broke down hydrogen to me in your way, I guarantee it do the same thing scientifically. I guarantee. Look, hydrogen, going without, curious, headstrong, action without thought. Whatever you tell me that hydrogen mean in your reality, I guarantee that's what it does. I guarantee that's the back end energy. That's the mindset of it. Because I'm from that realm of reality where I understand these beings. So look, when you bring those three together, hydrogen, going without, curious, headstrong, action without thought. You utilize that with your spirit all the time. You utilize that with your imagination and how you play that out in existence. What else? Nitrogen. Nitrogen. Being energetic, expressive, inspirational, explosive, dynamic in some type of way. Boom. Then oxygen. Oxygen. Being a traveler, being informative, having care, but holding on and using your emotions in some type of way. Right? The more and more you do those three things separately, what you don't understand is you just did the mathematical thing to even bring fire in existence. Fire need those three things. So when you running around average fire signs and they just naturally acting as fire, you control that now. You already know what that's about, and you know what it takes to actually express that. So you could break it down to a science and be a harder fire sign than a fire. You see what I'm saying? Now look at it like this. If your spirit, your frequency is a colorless, odorless, tasteless, and non-flammable gas, and if you doing these things and that's part of your imagination, that's part of how you act, that's your spirit. So that's how your spirit look. That's what it consists of. That's the shape and form of it. So the more and more you do those energies, right, you're going to learn things and learn what not to do and experience all things that consist of those energies. Those energies are going to manifest and matter in some type of way, in some type of physical, external way in your life. And then once you experience that, you know what to take and what not to take. That's what your spirit consists of. So when you die and when you go into another vessel, the vessel you go into is whatever your spirit frequency was vibrating on. I'm telling you what your frequency vibration was vibrating on now. It was vibrating on fucking hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. If you trying to be a fire. I'm telling you how to use the shit. What good is astrology if you don't know how to use the shit? I'm telling you how to use the shit. I'm telling you what the shit really is. I was an astrologer in every dimension. Where y'all claim who fire, water, and air now, that was made of something. When I was in the 7th and 8th dimension, the planets that ruled us wasn't fire, water planets. They was the planets that came together to make the lower planets, under that, like you. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So they was consistent of this, and there's something over that. But until scientists and everybody get into this nature, that's when you gonna fully understand space, understand everything, understand that dark matter ain't nothing but the overall emotions and feelings of the verse that you in. It's the overall plasma. So you would get a scientist telling you that dark matter, it just equivalent to plasma, but we don't know what it is yet. But they sit here and tell you in the lower dimension that your blood is blood plasma. Why don't y'all correlate it? I'm starting to think scientists do though. I think scientists do know what's going on. I think they just let y'all know, make y'all think what y'all want to think, so y'all can continue using y'all own spirit to shape and form their reality, shape and form their dark matter, shape and form the emotions and feelings that they're putting out. And the only way that something can work is it takes powering. It takes people. It takes people frequency vibrations, people spirit and soul, people ideas and thoughts, and them putting emotions and feelings to it. Your ideas and thought, that's your frequency, that's your spirit. The moment you put emotions and feelings in it, you start to experience it. You made it part of your timeline, part of your age, part of your seconds. So That both of those together creates a spark of light. Your spirit and soul becomes a light, a source. And that source is energy. And for anything to work, it needs energy. So when you got these overall elites and stuff like that pushing out their own agenda, their own overall ideas, and their own how people should feel about it, then when you at home watching news channels and things of that nature, boom, you got the idea that they gave you, boom, then you start to care about it. You start to give it your emotions and feelings, boom. You gave it your energy, then boom. You gave it more light, then boom. If it's millions of people giving one thing all that energy and source and light, that motherfucker is powerful as hell. This is how galaxies work, solar systems work. This is how the sun, everything works. Y'all niggas need to understand this shit. Don't be looking at me and when I'm saying like, oh, this cat creating some shit. No, I'm talking about how the shit really is. I'm Archangel Uriel, motherfucker. Now look, that's what your spirit is. So just think about all the things you imagine, all the things you doing throughout the day. All that is impacting your frequency vibration. All that is taking shape and form in your spirit. So now you be going, when you die and transform, you always rush to the light. You always go into the realms of illusions. You always enticed by solar systems. You always enticed to be up under a system of souls. You always enticed to be ruled over. You always enticed because you think that's the normal thing to do, because every experience in every vessel and dimension that you went in, you've been doing the same thing. Everything is in the present. What you're doing now, you've been doing it always. It doesn't become the past or the future until it's done in the present. So whatever you're doing now, if you ain't changing yourself now, you was never changing. This is why you here now. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever you're doing now, you've always been doing that. You know what I'm saying? You got some people who chose to come in certain dimensions to do what they do in order to let people elevate. I chose to come here. You see what I'm saying? Because I know that. Now, when you just be having an imagination, you got people and scientists telling you your conscience and your imagination ain't shit. Like your conscience, that's not a thing. Your conscience is an action. That action develop a creation. A creation. A cree is a group of bacteria or germs that, and the letter A means a point of reference for the first time, pointing to something for the first time. A tor means from a high mountain rock or from a high place. So when you look at the word creator, it ain't nothing but a group of high resistant germs, high resistance. That's like when you be yourself, you receiving thoughts all the time. These are not your thoughts. So you can be used as a vessel. The moment your thought become your thought is your ability to resist and see if you resonate with that thought or not, or that feeling or emotion or not. Then that when that and that outer thought and your inner resistance clash, it creates a orb in between, and that orb in between becomes your thought and your feeling of vibration. So it goes into the universe. So anybody that's vibrating on that frequency that you was vibrating on when that thought was emitted will be able to receive that, will be able to pick that up. The same way how you receive when your frequencies is vibrating, whatever your vibration is at, those are the thoughts and the feelings you're going to be receiving from those angels, demons, or beings, or whatever who was vibrating in that. For an example, you want to learn how to make video games, right? So now your ideas and feelings is your frequency vibrations is vibrating on that vibration, right? So all the thoughts and ideas you about to receive is gonna be from all the beings who was vibrating on that frequency. So you're gonna receive all the thoughts of people who wanted to make video games. So you're gonna start getting thoughts of, oh, okay, maybe I should get some information, maybe I should learn this, or maybe I should get on the internet. And you're gonna start receiving all the thoughts that they was receiving. You're gonna start to learn everything that they was learning, and you're gonna be used as a vessel, or you're gonna be admitting shit out. But it's a give and receive. Everything is a marriage. But that resistance there is what the creator taught you. See, this small bacteria, you gotta understand this shit. Like people, it's nothing pseudo, it's nothing scary or spooky about none of this shit. All this shit is real. You know what I'm saying? So think about all the imaginations and creeds, all the germs that you can't see, but it makes up your aura, your light that you attract by your thoughts and ideas and frequency vibrations. Think about all the shit that you're thinking about. Those ain't just nothing. Those consist of shit. You know what I'm saying? If you're thinking about playing a sport, that consists of fire. That consists of a little bit of air. That consists of a little bit of earth. Then you gotta look at what those factors supported by. Fire is consisted of a little bit of hydrogen. Fire is consisted of a little bit of nitrogen. Earth is consisted of a little bit of magnesium, of a little bit of carbon. You know what I'm saying? For example, all right, if you want to be an earth sign, Boom, you're an earth sign, right? So you already doing earth. You already doing practical shit that makes sense. But if you want to understand earth and be able to control all the earth and have it at the root of your hands and control other earth signs, then you got to know what earth consists of. Earth is 35% sodium, 35% chlorine, 25% carbon, 10% magnesium. Now you got to know what this shit. Now you got to know what that shit means. Flight astrology. Now when you go to sodium, sodium is analyzing details, reality, being unsure, taking form, seeing what works and don't work, and taking action, and to a certain degree feeling salty. So think about how you feel when you feel salty. Earth signs feel salty, way more salty than a lot of other signs. Because earth signs is a lot of times they put a lot of things on practicality and reality. And when they don't see their fruitions take place, they feel salty. Oh, damn, that business ain't work. Or damn, that structure ain't work. Or that foundation ain't work. Or shit, this shit ain't working for me. Those forms of feeling salty. That's sodium, motherfucker. Why you thinking? You see what I'm saying? Now, magnesium. Magnesium. Calmness, comfortability, stable energy, stubborn, and taking action. Now that's what that means. Now in this dimension, you'll get a doctor that'll subscribe you some magnesium, right? But who they subscribe that to? People who hypertension, so it make you calm down. See, but a scientist will argue all day with me that I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about is the same shit. You see, it's the same shit. Now look, that's what magnesium is: calmness, comfortability, stable energy, a little bit of stubborn, being stubborn. That's how we used to call people magnesium signs and magnesium planets and shit like that. Now, Earth also represents is the 35% chlorine. Now, chlorine is more of you gotta look at what it's used for and things of that nature. So chlorine is like insight, vision of the formless vision. You know what I'm saying? Be it a blueprint, entrepreneurial. You know what I'm saying? That's like a person who know a person who got like a chlorine sign. That's like a person who know how to draw out things before it's drawn out. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, this they know how to draw blueprints. Okay, this the kind of it's almost like a Capricorn. A lot of Capricorn people got a lot of chlorine energy. They don't know that. They might got more chlorine energy than Taurus and Virgo. But at the same time, Taurus and Virgo, they understand the chlorine energy too. They got a high percentage in that also. Earth in general got it. But we know we got more and more or less, and we got less based upon the modalities. We know that Virgo and Taurus is fixed, Virgo is mutable. So Capricorn is initiating. So it's going to share a little bit more of that chlorine, because chlorine a little bit more initiating than that's another video. But chlorine represents being able to see the formless. So you could draw out a building, right? And then have people get the building done. So you know what I'm saying? And then when you look at chlorine in real life, look at it, they put it in water. So you could be able to see underneath water. What is water? Formless. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's the same shit. You can't, it's the same shit. You can't argue with me. You know what I'm saying? And then it's 20% carbon. So carbon would be like, carbon is puzzling, understanding metaphors, connection, combining. So carbon signs like to connect to people and like to see, or this what I can do, this what you can do, let's bring it together and create something else. You know what I'm saying? This is what carbon people like to do. So you can look at carbon and how scientists, whatever, fuck what they saying. This is the real energy of it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I bet it's the same shit anyway. You know what I'm saying? So Earth consists of 35% sodium, 35% chlorine, 20% carbon, 10% magnesium. We know sodium is analyzing the details, reality, being unsure, and taking form. We know chlorine is being able to see the shapes and form of the formless and being able to draw out things and be entrepreneurial. We know magnesium is calmness, comfortability, stable energy, stubborn a little bit, but taking action in a calm way. And we know carbon is puzzling, understanding, metaphor, connection, and combining. Now, if you do each of those to the best of your ability, you the hardest earth sign on earth. You see what I'm saying? It's that simple. It's that fucking simple. So when you're doing all of these throughout the day, just think about so much shit you doing that you don't even want to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're doing this, that, and the third. You're around this person. You're around that person. You got to go to this job. You got to go to this place. You got to buy this. You got to keep this up. Think about all these imaginations and ideas you putting into these. And think about what all those things is consist of. All the elements and energies those things is consist of that you got to do. You know what I'm saying? And it's think about all this weight that your spirit is carrying now. You really think you're going to a high place when you die and transform out this? You're going somewhere lower. Your shit is heavy. That's what they be meaning about weigh your heart with the feather in my eye. It's really you just carrying weight. You might be carrying a lot of dead weight. So when you transform and die from this physical form, this dimension, right? You go back to your spirit. And your spirit, your frequency, what is it? It's a colorless, odorless, tasteless, non-flammable gas. See what I'm saying? So when you're floating, and when it's time for your frequency to go into another vibration, another realm of reality, it's going to start to take shape and form of all the elements that consist of that realm of reality, like same way how you came into Earth. What is Earth made of? See what I'm saying? Now you start to take shape and form of all the elements in there, and relate to it as best way if you can, so you can live within that, right? And do your resisting and putting out, right? And then you can sustain in that realm until you learn all the elements and learn all the conscious awarenesses, and make your spirit carry a bigger weight, not no dead weight, carry some weight that'll lift you up, some light energy weight. We know the more hydrogen and helium you add to your spirit, that's light. You can float. This is why they need helium for hot air balloons. This is why they need hydrogen, because it float. You want your spirit to float. You don't want to add a bunch of sodium all the time, add a bunch of neon and fluorine and shit in every existence, because your spirit that's dead weight. That's physical weight. So if all these elements are still colorless and odor to a certain degree, I'm getting you to understand the physicality in higher dimensions. You see what I'm saying? So you coming around, you carrying all this fucking, no, you need more nitrogen. You need more expression in your experiences in life. You know what I'm saying? To add on. So when you transform from this, you take a shape and form of that kind of shit. See, I'm going to take a shape and form of a higher dimension, of a star or something like that. Because the energies that I'm adding to my spirit in this one is a bunch of fire. I'm using fire, water, and air and earth. You have to use all these shit. You have to use nitrogen, oxygen. You have to use, but it's the ones you cling on to the most, right? And with me, I cling on to a lot of fire and a lot of air, and you know that's a filter through. That means I'm clinging on to a lot of hydrogen, a lot of helium, a lot of lithium, a lot of motherfucking nitrogen. And when you look at those elements in any realm of reality, those shits go up. You look at where I got a lighter. Where a lighter at? The fire. I just told you what fire consists of, right? Look, it just made a star, y'all. I just told you what fire consists of, right? And the only reason it make that shape is because of the filters of the camera and the illusion. That's how you know things don't really look like how they look up there. It's just through the filtering and the shapes and form of the filters how they look. But look, I just told you, fire is made out of what? Fire goes up. So if I'm using a lot of fire, I'm using a lot of spirit. So my spirit will go up. Now, what I told you fire was made of: nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen. So obviously, those elements like to fly. So if I'm constantly making my spirit experience that type of shit, then when I transform from this vessel, I'm gonna take I'm gonna take your spirit. Always go to whatever the vessel energy that is frequency vibrating on. So if my spirit is frequency vibrating on a bunch of hydrogen, helium and shit, then that's the form and shape that is gonna go. So I'm gonna inhabit one of the bodies that can do that kind of shit. So I'm gonna wake up a conscious body that do that kind of shit. So you see what I'm saying? You get it? Do you get what I'm saying? So reason why you in a human vessel right now, because your spirit inhabit a vessel of what it wants to do. Now I don't want you to think that just because you're a human there's something wrong with that. No, it's a hell and heaven to everything. Just because it's a heaven somewhere, that heaven could be a hell to another heaven. Just because it's a hell somewhere, that hell could be a heaven to a, you know what I'm saying? You got to understand things like that. Everything is in the same place as far as the dimensions. So it really don't matter. But I'm going to experience the same thing as you. But my conscious awareness and the vessel that I inhabit and utilize as a vessel may just be able to be consciously aware of more of the existence than yours can. You see what I'm saying? So you got to understand, as you being in a vessel, you elevated. You in the third dimension right now. So wherever you was at before, you couldn't conceive as much, and you could conceive a lot more now. So now you can even conceive possibilities of where you was at before, when you was at a time where you couldn't conceive, and you could kind of perceive where you going. That lets you know where you at in existence. You see what I'm saying? That lets you know you came from a place where you couldn't conceive where you was headed, and you probably could conceive where you was at before, because you in a place now where you could conceive where you was at before, and you could kind of conceive where you going. So why stop now? Why keep coming back as a human now? Why keep coming back into 3D? See what I'm saying? It's like boss, because you go the heaven or hell is you choose that. So I don't care if you think you come back as a human or you think you coming back as a star. You still creating your heaven or hell, so it don't matter where you at. It don't matter what you keep coming back into. If you keep coming back into your own hell you keep creating, that's what you keep coming back into. So I wouldn't even advise nobody to ascend into their own hell. Anyway, because that's what religions be talking about, going to heaven or hell. But I'm telling you what the shit actually is. If you a person that vibrating high and then you just gonna ascend anyway, but you constantly in your own hell, you're gonna ascend into a more hell. So it is gonna appear how religion may appear to be. Anyway, so you need to, because if that's in your mind, in your imagination, in your idea, then that's what you make it for yourself. So I hope you do come back as a human. I hope you don't come back as a star or something like that. Because what you creating now, you don't want to create that shit up there. If you want some bullshit down here, like I said, what you doing now is what you always been doing. So if you want some bullshit down here, you definitely don't want to be on that same bullshit up there, because you gonna be creating all kind of shit. You really gonna be lost. You really ain't gonna want to live. You really gonna want to kill yourself. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn, man.